Jay here for Full Time Devils. This is the West Ham preview. Joining me today is Abdullah, Adam McKola, and making his Full Time Devils debut, Ronaldo. Not that Ronaldo, a better one. How are you all doing, guys?
Either Ronaldo and all that.
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Before we get into it all, we've got a plug. I've got a plug to do. We've got a link in the description because we've been nominated for a Northwest Football Award for Best Fan Media Channel. There's other nominees as well. Other United people have been nominated. Luke Shaw's been nominated. Katie Zeller's been nominated. Sorry?
Mason.
Oh yeah, how could I forget? Mason Greenwood's been nominated as well. Yeah.
AKA Daddy.
I knew you was going to say that. No comment, no comment. If you get voting, you can make it a clean sweep for Manchester United. So do look at the link in the description. We appreciate your support. As always, guys, it is the West Ham game. Last time we went down to East London, it wasn't a great trip. We lost 3-1 under Jose Mourinho. We had Scott McTominay as part of a three-man defence. Adam, I'm going to start with you. Do you think that this is a game where we can see how far we've come under Ollie? Do you feel confident this time going into the West Ham game?
The last one was under Jose, wasn't it? I kind of wiped that out of my memory, like that game. It was a depressing one, that defeat. Am I more confident going into this game than I was that game? Probably not, because I'm expecting this team to be inconsistent. I kind of don't know what Manchester United side will turn up against West Ham United. We've seen that this season. Chelsea at home, we were okay, got a 4-0 win. Wolves away, I thought we were better than we were against Chelsea. Miss a penalty, don't get the win. And then Palace, Southampton, it's all been very inconsistent. The Leicester result was a professional win. Can we go and do that again? I don't think we'd win at West Ham away if we performed like we did against Leicester. I'm just being honest. And I'm hoping Pogba and Martial are available to start and Pogba can create more for us. Obviously, the midfield is very functional, but it's not very creative without Paul Pogba. So to get him back in the team away from home will be crucial for United, and hopefully seeing a performance, because that is obviously we need results, but seeing a performance is the main thing as well. I want to see signs that we are progressing and we are improving as the season's going on.
Ronaldo, Adam's talking about the performance there. When you look at this, you look at West Ham away, do you think this is a team that we should be beating, or do you think it's just a case of if the performance is good and if we get a point, that you'll be happy with that?
Obviously, you want to see a good performance, but if I'm looking at like West Ham's team on face value, they're a team with a lot of quality, and I don't see it being that easy of a game. As Adam's already said, I feel like if we don't perform to our absolute optimum, we can very easily slip up. I'm looking at the likes of Felipe Anderson and Sebastian Haller and people that they've brought in, and it looks to me as a game that we very much could slip up if we don't turn up, because our squad depth is really, really, really thin, as we can obviously see. And if the likes of Pogba and Martial aren't available to return and we put in a performance like we did against Leicester, I can see us dropping points. So, but hopefully we do well.
Abdullah, how do you think Ollie's going to approach this game? Because we've seen in the past, do you think he's going to go for the high press and attacking philosophy, if we can use that word? Or do you think he's a little bit more defensive and we see a sort of a counter-attacking performance from Manchester United?
I think sort of you look at this Manchester United side and it's almost naturally a counter-attacking team. You've got Daniel James, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, but it's also got that high intensity which Ollie wants to play. You can see what we did in pre-season, playing with the high press, and Nemanja Matic doesn't really give you that in midfield. I think that's where our problem lies. You can't really win the ball from the front, which is what Fred and McTominay would give you as a pivot together. You look at the Leicester game, Matic almost allowing Harry Maguire to progress the ball other than him and having to drop off him because he's not got that ability to carry the ball forward. And I think that's a problem that shows, the whole problem with our intensity in midfield. Matic can't even really carry the ball. He hasn't got the legs to do that. He can't really, stop any midfielder, especially if you've got someone like Lanzini coming up against him, because he's going to, dribble onto him. He's going to really struggle, and you want to be winning the ball from the front. And I think McTominay and Fred give you that. And I think, like I said, the whole idea of the counter-attacking thing, I think it's almost naturally happening because you've got those front three, who are just going to hit teams on the break. But we've still got to be doing a lot better on the front foot, winning the ball back higher up the pitch, and building proper goals and not just hitting teams on the break. You need a mixture of styles, I think.
Fair enough. Adam, it's been a bit of a mixed bag away from home. We've had 2 away games, 2 points, but we've taken the lead twice and we've sort of thrown that away. How do you assess United's performances this season on the road?
I was disappointed with the Southampton game, but I wasn't with the Wolves game. Pogba scores his penalty, and we were all walking around after the game thinking, professional win that. That's impressive. And we're going into the next game feeling very confident. Because we had the whole chat over the Rashford-Pogba penalty situation, and
still ongoing now. It's still bringing it up.
It's ridiculous. Like, because we had all that, they felt like a hangover from that game, and really should have been 3 points and a professional win. Southampton, we should have won as well, but we weren't. We didn't deserve to win on the day. It's been inconsistent, and I'm going to keep saying it throughout the season. We're going to have to expect inconsistencies with this team. The only thing that I'm hoping for is because, like Ronnie said. We're playing up against the West Ham side who may fancy themselves to actually get a few goals against Manchester United. The one thing for us is their fullback got booked. What's his name? Got sent off the other. Yeah, he got sent off the other day. So they're gonna have to play Zabaleta there. If Daniel James is fit, or we can play Rashford on that side, or Marcy, or whoever occupies that side, they could potentially give him a very hard time. And with the likelihood that West Ham are going to push out, because we've faced difficulties when we've taken on teams that have sat back. Southampton, when they went down to 10 men, sat back. United couldn't break them down. We didn't play well enough in that game. Crystal Palace, when they sat back at times, we didn't do well at all. Although I thought in the second half we're a little bit better, and we seem to face problems. I'm hoping West Ham actually fancy it and come out a little bit, and then that'll give us the opportunity to hit them on a break. And like Abdul says, if we play McTominay and we play Fred in there, and you're able to play Pogba further forward, then you've got that ability to be able to break it up, pass the ball to Paul Pogba, who can stretch teams, can bring the ball out with his feet or find the pass, and we should be able to hit them on a break. But it depends on that selection, and that's why it's so important we don't have injuries this season. Because Pogba being injured is a massive issue. Even if, like, for me, I love McTominay as a squad player, and I think he's a great lad. But he should really be 3rd or 4th choice for United. And he isn't. And that represents a problem in itself, that we're fretting over a McTominay injury. So we're going to have to expect this season it's going to be up and down continuously. We're going to have to rely on players being fit, and we're going to have to rely on players being in form. And so far, we've seen that they're all inconsistent.
Ronnie, we're talking about injuries, and I'm going to get into the predicted 11 a little bit later on, but how much of a worry is it for you that 1 or 2 injuries and United are sort of relied on players that probably wouldn't get into most top 10 teams?
That was an issue that was literally brought up as soon as the transfer window closed. The squad just is not deep enough, because 1 or 2 injuries, we said if you got 1 or 2 injuries, it was going to look very, very bleak. And if you're comparing our teams to the likes of Leicester and West Ham, you can quite easily look at a few of their players and then swap them into the United teams, and that's a worrying factor as it is. As he said, McTominay probably should be a 3rd or 4th choice midfield player at United, but he's not, and that is a major, major issue. And the fact is, we've not got the strength in depth to bring in players when we get injured that are at the quality needed to be to play at United. And without the likes of Pogba and Martial in the team does look very average, and we have to scrape wins against Leicester, etc., which is not where we really want to be at. So it is a major issue, yeah.
Talk about McTominay there, and you remember last season, he was sort of thrown in at the deep end against West Ham. He was part of that 3-man midfield, and I think Lindelof ended up getting taken off and McTominay was kept on. Do you think this is a game where we're going to see some of the youngsters? I know we're going to get into the predicted 11 later, or do you think this is one where you have to go with your experienced players?
I think the thing is with this side, our main problem has been in midfield, and if there is to be a surprise package to come in, you'd expect it to be Jimmy Garner. Now, I don't think he was in with a high chance of starting, especially you got to look at the way Mason Greenwood, Angel Gomez not really coming. So, if there is a surprise though in there, you'd expect it to be Jimmy Garner because of the problems we've had in midfield. You're going to be facing the likes of Declan Rice, Mark Noble, and you
should have been sent off the other day as well, Mark Noble.
He got like Mark Noble.
He got booked and then he dived in the box. And the commentators were just like pretending he.
Remember when he picked up Ander Herrera and carried him off the pitch when Herrera was injured, shall we say? He's just one of them in it as well.
Pissed me off, that did. Yeah. Herrera had all rights to swing an elbow into his head. Because you can't. So why are you picking someone up for? So just elbow him.
And it's like the time when he had that, like, when he went for Paul Pogba, and
Oh,
Paul
that
Pogba
was
just sort of
big.
like swatted him away like he was
Pogba's face.
Yeah, like Paul Pogba was like, what are you doing? Like he was just throwing a little kid away. He's a bit of an odd one, Mark Noble.
Yeah, again, I think McTominay, Fred are the guys that you want to start. You know, they'll be able to cover that ground up against that quite, you know, slow midfield, you'd say, and Declan Rice and Mark Noble. Lanzini's the only one they might have to deal with, but they've both got, like I said earlier, the intensity ahead of those guys, and Mark Noble can be really bullied out the game, I think.
Yeah, so I know Abdul's saying James Garner and all that, and I do think he's got real ability and potential to come through at United, but he's not gonna be starting against West Ham, is he? We've seen Mason Greenwood has been given sparing minutes this season. Tahith Chong, Angel Gomez sometimes hasn't even been in the squad. Fred, you know, he didn't rush him into the team. He's even giving him time to get matched. I don't think he's just going to throw in someone like that from the bench. So at the moment, at this stage in the season, we have to rely on the McTominays and the Freds and Matiches, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just the transitional period, like you said. We've just got to kind of weather the storm. We've got to take the good with the bad. As Adam's already mentioned, we're going to have inconsistencies during the season. We're going to have bad results. We're going to have good results. We're going to have shot results. But we've got to we've got to be realistic and look at the squad we've got and know that we're not going to be going into every game as favourites to win, or not many games in the Premier League this season are going to be like a done deal before they've been played, and that's just how it is at the moment. But we're in a rebuild, and maybe it might take 1 season, 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons, but I feel like we'll be back soon. But we have sunk, but
I think this is the
we have sunk.
This is a part of the rebuild that we want to be at, though. You know, like where we've now got like something to add players onto. Like I keep saying, I don't know whether Ollie's actually the man or not yet, but we have got like this foundation to build from. It's a very young nucleus at the moment. And, you know, I'm imagining in the next 12 months, Ashley Young, Nemanja Matic, Marcus Rojo, Phil Jones probably go. And then we're going to be replacing those players. If Pogba goes, we're going to have to take another big hit and try and rebuild again. So it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while. We're gonna have to get used to this. But I think we're at the part of the rebuild where actually it's a little bit exciting because some of the younger players that are playing and will play this season are like exciting to watch.
One thing that's helped with the rebuild so far has been the players we've brought in: Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Daniel James, of course. With Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, you expect them to come in and hit the ground running. They've got Premier League experience. But Daniel James as well, to have the start he's had. How much has that helped those three just coming into United and fitting in straight away?
I think you've got to look at it like this. Since post Sir Alex, have we ever had like sort of a start of a season where our new signings are our best players? We've always struggled to integrate sort of, Falcao, Di Maria, remember that period, then bringing in Memphis. You come to the season, you see Maguire, Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James, arguably our best 3 players at the start of the season. And I think that's a positive within itself. We were speaking about how many players, would get into our side from West Ham, Leicester and all that. But how many times have we looked over the last few years and we've had a stacked squad and said, this would even win the league, just in terms of personnel. So I think, again, it's part of a rebuild, and you've just got to see it like this. Your 3 signings are arguably your best players, one of them winning Player of the Month. And we shouldn't be really relying on Daniel James coming into the season, but he's made it his own at that left wing spot right now. And he's done brilliantly. So I think you've got to give props to Ollie to be working with what he's got currently. And, there's still issues definitely at the back, but, it could be worse. It could be like Arsenal conceding 100 shots or whatever it is. Already within the start of the season, but I'll take it.
Definitely. I never realised how good Aaron Wan-Bissaka was until we bought him.
And
you get to watch him like for the full 90 minutes each game, and the guy's just he's
a winger as well. It's nuts. It was like playing on the wing a few years ago. He's an attacking player. He's not actually the complete article defensively. He's still learning. So
that's scary. That's scary that he's got another level to get to. When you look at how well he's been playing. We're going to get into the predicted 11s now. This has been recorded before Ollie's presser, before everyone jumps in the comments going, so-and-so's injured, or have you not been listening to what Ollie's just said? Maka, I'll start with you. Who do you see starting in this game?
David De Gea in goal. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, and Ashley Young. McTominay, Fred, Pogba, Rashford, Danny James, and Martial.
Abdul, what do you reckon?
That's probably the team I'd go
Yeah.
with. I'm not. I can't even change it up. But it's like again, we
You know
can't
what,
even.
you get here late and you just go, oh yeah, whatever Adam says, yeah, then that's my
to be
team
fair,
as well.
That's the issue that we got though. Like, there's not enough senior players to go in. Oh, he might get in. Like you've got Matic, and we all know Matic. You know the way he played last game. You're not going to get him in. I think it's more about how he sets that team up. I can see that front three playing. I think Daniel James should be starting on that left wing. When he's going forward, he looks a lot more comfortable. What we noticed when the game changed in the last 20 minutes and Fred come on, Dan James went over to the right. He seems to have his shot a bit too quick. His decision making isn't as great on the right. So I think Dan James should be starting on the left. And I think it's time we actually play Marcus Rashford on the right. I think it will force Marcus Rashford to almost come into the box a bit more, get closer to goal, because he is having the right amount of shots. I think he's taking his chances. But I think he needs to get closer to goal, and I think, playing off Paul Pogba, if he plays in 10, he can find that pass into the box, and maybe Marcus Rashford coming off the right can give us that option, because Dan James right now on the left, I think he should be the player that starts on the left wing, and I think it's time Marcus Rashford's tested on the right a bit more, and we are lacking something there.
It almost feels to me like we've got three sort of, in the old school fashion, inside lefts, or whatever you call them. They're like, not quite centre forwards, not quite left wingers. They're all in between, that sort of thing. Martial plays well there, Rashford plays well there, and now Daniel James has fitted straight in there. Ronnie, who's your 11, mate?
I'd go De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka right back, then Lindelof, Maguire, and I'm praying Luke Shaw because I refuse to put Ashley Young in my starting 11.
Another one, mate. Hey, I tell your mates your house.
And
Hasn't he got 2 months left out or something like that?
And
yeah, they're gonna wheel in Luke Shaw in a wheelchair and just plonk him at left back.
And probably centre mids of McTominay and Fred with Pogba ahead, and I think he'll go Daniel James on the left, Rashford up front, and I think he'll play Lingard. I'm not sure Martial will come back.
Yeah, I mean, when we're recording this, Lingard's been training, and that he might get a game in Europe, we don't know, but we expect him to be there or thereabouts as well. I think that, as you mentioned, there's not loads to choose from, especially if you get injuries, especially if you're looking at players going out. I mean, you sort of touched on it there. If Luke Shaw's out, it's not like we've got loads of different players we can bring in. And some of the youngsters, there was talk of, maybe give one of the youngsters a chance at fullback. I think that's
Delo can play
Delo, hopefully.
Yeah. There's Delo. Almost become the forgotten man, but yeah, everyone expected this season him to get more of a start, and obviously with Wan-Bissaka coming in and Luke Shaw playing, he's not really had much of a chance. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get a bit of a game. Opposition now. It's a bit of a mixed bag for West Ham. I think they started with an absolute battering off City, didn't they? They lost 5-0 with all that nonsense about VAR, even though City absolutely dicked them. And then they've won 2 and drawn 2 of the next 4 games. When you look at the West Ham team, who is it you sort of look at and think, yeah, they're the ones that you need to be wary of? Maka, you're a big West Ham fan, aren't you? You're a big supporter of their academy, and I know you're a massive Declan Rice fan. You've been banging his drum for so long now.
The Academy of Football, eh?
Hey, he won us the World Cup in '66, man. What's wrong with you? When you look at the West Ham team,
gave Bobby Moore a career, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, let's not. Yeah. We'll be here all day. When you look at the West Ham team, is there certain players that you think, we need to sort of, he's someone who could do a job on us?
I love Lanzini, man. I've always liked Lanzini. I think he's a little baller, and I think he can cause us problems. Obviously, they've got Yarmolenko that can play there as well, who's a decent player, but he's been injured, so him coming back, I'm not sure how match fit he's been, or how at it he's been. For them, as I said, Zabaletta's starting. He's likely to start unless they pull someone out of their Academy of Football. So if Zabaleta starts, we need to get at him now. I remember him coming to Old Trafford once and me thinking the same thing, and he did quite well up against us, and I think Martial had a quiet day that day. But this time around, I don't know whether you put Mason Greenwood on him, Daniel James on him, and just try and run him ragged. We need to do that. And if Rashford plays up against him, he needs to isolate him and damage him. Just put him into retirement. Remember Gary Neville at West Brom? We need to be doing that to Zabaleta.
Gary Neville retired himself at West Brom, didn't he? I think he gave up after about 10 minutes.
He made that decision. He was just like, I'm done, lads.
It's like watching a five-a-side game, lads. You know what I mean? Just carry on without me. Forget about this. Ronnie, when you look at the West Ham team, what do you think of them? Do you think they are a team that, you know, can challenge for that top sort of 6th place that they keep talking about, or do you think United don't have too much to worry about there?
No, if I'm looking at the players for them, I'm looking at Felipe Anderson. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a quality baller. But what I'm most worried about is Haller against Lindelof, because obviously it's well documented how Lindelof struggles in the air, and obviously Haller's a big physical striker, and he's already scored 3 goals in the Premier League this season in 4 games, so he's going to be a threat. And I think they would have noticed that, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Haller kind of try to play on Lindelof a little bit when crosses are in the box or from long balls, and that would be my worry. If anything, it would be Haller. That's the main threat that I'm looking at.
Will you start watching
I'm checking the stats,
videos
mate.
and get on with this?
No videos, stats, lads. I'm about to bring them out.
Come on then, Mr. Stat Man Abdul.
I think the danger man for them is Haller. Got to agree with Ronaldo on that. And you know what you notice this season is how good he is in the box. He's taking like 1.5 shots in the penalty area. So obviously, like
1.5 shots, Abdul.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. What's half
per
a shot?
game, mate.
What is that?
Per game.
Explain that to me then.
It happens.
Instead of
per
reading
game,
you figures
man.
there that you don't know what they mean.
All right. So
reciting them. Tell us what they mean.
So he's had the most shots in the 6-yard box. Per game in the Premier League. So again, when we look at his goals, like the other day, I think it was against Watford. He misses a chance again closer to goal. So if they get Lanzini running at, hopefully it's not Matic in the box, and then he's finding the likes of Haller, who hopefully they don't play on Lindelof's weaknesses. Again, physical. Haller, you play over the top for him. We've seen again the other day, Lindelof against Leicester, the ball goes over his head to Maddison. So that's always a worry, and a striker in form, you don't want to face any of those problems. So I think you've just got to try and not get him in around the box. Try keep them out, I think, as much as possible. We should really be taking control of the game. I think a bit more, you know, we've got those ball-playing centre-halves in Maguire and Lindelof, and I think they shouldn't really be getting much of a chance in around our box throughout the game like they've done in the past few games, and that will limit then Haller taking as many chances.
Go on, and I'll stick with you. What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1 Manchester United. I think it'll be a tight game, yeah.
Ronnie, how do you see it going? What's your score prediction, mate?
All right, I was saying 2-1 as well. 2-1 United, and then West Ham slowly work their way down the table.
Yeah, settle for that. Marco, what do you reckon? Do you reckon this is a United win against the Academy of Football?
I'm going to do what I did against Leicester. I do actually think it's going to be a score draw. And I'm going to hope for the win and be proven wrong. But I don't know, something about West Ham away. It's always a difficult game, isn't it? TV game as well, early on a Sunday. I hope I'm wrong, but I think it'll be 1-1 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm veering towards a draw. If anyone cares, I'm going to go 2-2.
We're yet to win any of our away games.
2-2.
And,
negative.
They're unbeaten since the last against City.
It's not negative. It's
Negativity,
realistic.
mate.
Hey, Haller's got 1.5 shots per goal per game, or whatever it is.
Reverse
Do you know what I
psychology.
mean? You can't cope with that.
6-yard box, mate. They're not going to get anywhere near the box.
Right, guys, this has been the Full-Time Devils preview. Ronnie, thanks for coming on. Abdullah, thanks for joining us. And as I said at the beginning, don't forget we've been nominated for a North West Football Award. You can check out the link in the description, along with the likes of Luke Shaw, Katie Zellum and Mason Greenwood. They've all been nominated as well. So have a look at that and get voting. We appreciate your support as well. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.